Hello and welcome to the weekly shakeout of the Road to London of Paula's Run Club with me, Paula Radcliffe.
And me, Christopher Thompson.
And first off, Thommo, we have to reflect. We are recording this, full disclosure, the morning after Liévin, watching Keely Hodgkinson absolutely smash that world record. I thought she was going to smash through the 154 at about 75 metres still to go. Really, really strong performance.
It sounds weird to say I've never seen her quite look so good because she has run so well, but she looked phenomenal. She looked almost invincible. And it was just, when you see athletes race against a clock rather than other athletes, because that's all you've got left.
Yeah.
To compete against.
And to be fair, it wasn't like she went
that.
in against nobody, was it? I mean, Audrey Vero did try and go with her, gave it a very good go, ended up paying the price, and dropped back to a 158. But yeah, you're right. Keely's, I think the composure and the way she talked about the fact it was destiny, wasn't it? That she was born on the day that Jolanda Cheplak set that world record back in 2002. She did make the joke that Jenny was there. I was being born, but Jenny was there.
Let's not talk about where we were that day.
I know.
Crikey. I think, I was at uni, but anyway, yeah. But it's just incredible, and I think I said this on the last episode, but it's her composure and just the way she carries herself is incredibly impressive, and I think you've got to have, I guess I'd like to say it, like you've got to have the engine below the shoulders, but you've got to have the temperament above the shoulders as well, and she does have that in spades. And it's, I guess the last question before we move on is, do you think the world record outdoors is up for it?
Well, Raf asked me that when we were watching it,
Really?
and he was like, what is it? And I said, well, to be fair, I mean, I'm going to say full disclosure, I think I said it when we chatted about it last time, the two people above her going into this have been caught for doping, and there are huge questions about that world record on the outdoors side as well. I think with all the improvements in technology, she's absolutely getting closer. The difficulty is getting it on that perfect day outdoors, because as we've talked about there, I think Keely's temperament, yes, she's motivated by records, but I think she's more motivated by those titles and by winning races. But she's shown there that she can go out and she can chase that time, she can stick to it, and she went out very, very boldly and didn't tie up. I think that was what was most impressive. It was the way that she held it together, even though she was slipping slightly back off those lights in those closing stages. Her form still looked amazing. So I think that work that she's done stands her in really good stead. So imperfect conditions outdoors, yeah, I do think she's got a strong chance.
Yeah, there's one thing that's interesting when you statistics on the splits. So she was like, what was it, 26? I know it's 26 points, so it adds up, but 26 point, then 29 point, 29 point, 29 point. And it's that consistency of the last 600. I think generally in 800 metre running, men and women, is impressive.
Yeah.
Because that's not something, I mean, my wife was an 800 metre runner, Gemma Simpson, now Thompson, but she, in terms of the challenges around that last 200, really tell a lot about where an athlete's at and their fitness, and the fact she could hold is just as impressive as picking up. Not slowing down is the hardest bit. So,
well, especially when you're going with the lights. Because I think there is that temptation when you're starting to get harder and you see the lights moving about. I mean, we saw it with Azzedine Abs in the men's 3,000 metres, a little bit with Jess Hull as well. Once those lights start to pull away, it's really tough to keep holding it together mentally. And yeah, they didn't pull away a long way from Keely, but she could sense they were getting hard to keep up with. And there was no panic, no tying up there. And it's that composure. And you remember, she's only, 23? Is she even 23 yet?
Keely? She's 25. Is she not 25? Oh, this is terrible. We should know this, but
No. She's 23, isn't she? Well, we know that she was born in 2002. Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
We just talked about it.
Yeah.
Do the maths.
Yeah,
she's 23.
23.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
We're good at doing split times in our heads, but we're not that good at the maths.
I can't get my head round she's that young, because she won an Olympic medal in Tokyo.
Yeah. Well, at 19,
how can
though.
you be 23 now?
Yeah,
That's insane.
No,
She seems so much more mature and older. Oh no, not to say 23.
She's almost
mature,
24.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, it just beggars belief that she's that young. I can't.
It does.
Anyway.
So huge
That was a
lesson.
genuine
Congratulations to Keely and the entire team who've put all the work into that. And shall we get on to some questions?
Well, one last shout out before we move on, because today, I know we're not recording
Well, we'll
a
put
week
her on the
late.
honours board first off. Should we do the honours board first? We'll put Keely on the honours board because that
Yeah,
was a top
obviously.
performance. And your one, your shout out?
And it honours board, because it's today when this goes out, it's my son's first birthday.
Oh,
So,
happy
so he
birthday.
is
Which
happy
one?
birthday.
Oh,
Which one?
first one, George.
Yeah, my second one. George, who is one today, as this drops. I don't know. I don't know what we're doing quite yet, but yeah, I can't believe it's a year already. But there you go. So maybe, maybe
Let
I'll need
Theo
to figure
choose
out.
because he's the one who'll actually remember it.
Oh, yeah, he'll remember it. I need to see if there's any world records set on this day to see if George can try and beat them in there.
Don't add
23
too
years.
much pressure. So other
Absolutely not.
additions to the honours board quickly. I'm just going to knock out those at the beginning and then we'll get into the questions. First one comes in from Jess, and she says, "Dear Paul and Chris, firstly, I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to share your knowledge and experience with the everyday runner. I find it humbling that runners of your caliber seem to truly care about the goals of normal people. Of course we do. You give advice with so much enthusiasm and passion. It feels like you see us as equals in the sport rather than professionals versus amateurs. Your lack of ego is quite remarkable. Thank you." I think that must be to me, not you. I wanted to give a shout out to my amazing friend Rosie, who was due to run her first marathon in Edinburgh this year. She's the most enthusiastic, dedicated and consistent runner there is. It took for a while for her to believe that she could run a marathon, and she was excited and terrified in equal measure about the prospect of running Edinburgh. Unfortunately, weeks into her official marathon training, she had a cancer diagnosis. In typical Rosie fashion, she was desperate to see if she could get back to training as soon as possible after surgery. But with the advice from doctors and lots of chats, she has made the sensible, albeit disappointing decision to defer until next year so that she can focus on recovery. I think that's a smart decision, Rosie. Well done. I just wanted her to know that she's an inspiration to all of us and that her positivity in the face of adversity is truly incredible. I know she'll be out running as soon as she can, and when she's ready, that marathon will be there waiting with the best cheer squad there is. Sending her all the love for the months ahead from Jess and the rest of the Vango crew. That is lovely. So well done, Rosie. Keep battling through that. And yeah, keep your eyes on the big prize. Take the time to recover and you will go out and you will smash that Edinburgh Marathon.
Yeah, good luck, and yeah, lovely message. This is hopefully this platform is a great place for people to feel they can share these stories, and more can listen and want to share those stories because they're very powerful. I think people, you never know who's listening and who can take huge inspiration and admiration from all of it. So, and I know we do. I certainly feel just inspired by a lot of people writing in. So thank you very much for that. Right. Dear Paula and Chris, love the show. Thank you very much. A great accompaniment to spring marathon training. No London for me this year. Instead, I'm lucky enough to be running Boston for Dana Farber in memory of my brother. My 6th star done the lot in under 14 months.
Wow.
Anyhow, enough about me. Could I please get a shout out for my daughter Phoebe? Only been running 18 months. Yesterday, she ran for Aston in the British University's cross country. Only girl, did the 6K, finished 555th of 563rd, but was competing against people who are already represented their country. A proud dad. Thanks, Steve. Fantastic.
Well done,
Very
Phoebe.
proud.
That's you on the honours board and Dad on there for nominating you as well.
Oh, of course, and also for the 6 stars done in under 14
Yes.
months. There's a few
there's a
there, to be
fair
fair, put
bit
on
there. And yeah, best of luck in
fair
Boston.
bit
That's
there.
coming up.
Yes, good luck. Right, moving on to the questions. This one comes in from Faith. Paula and Thommo, help! Exclamation mark. That's why we're here. Let's go. Despite being a seasoned runner, 26 marathons and countless other races in between over a period of 25 plus years, I had a terrible race experience last weekend, which left me rattled. I ran a half marathon 7 minutes slower than the same race last year, but fell so much harder, and I cannot fathom the reasons for the big time gap. The race felt hard from the start. I couldn't get any speed up, although I didn't blow up, and my pacing was pretty consistent. The conditions were very similar, about 3 to 5 degrees. I live in Tokyo, Japan, some wind, and I'm in a similar training block. Last year I ran the Nagoya Women's Marathon in March, and I'm training for the same race again this year. My question for you is, what could cause such a huge decrease in speed? I'm not suffering from any sickness that I'm aware of. I did have a big week of work last week travelling to Singapore. Not a lot of sleep, lots of work and even more rich food. I've gained some weight over Christmas, but I've maintained my training schedule. I train online with a coach and my mileage is currently about 80 kilometres a week. Just for context, my race time this year was 1 hour 39 compared to last year's 1 hour 32. My marathon PB is 3 hours 11 back in 2016, and last year around 3 hours 13, and Nagoya, which was the fastest I've run in a marathon since having my son in 2021. I should also add I'm 46. Is age finally catching up with me? I've generally been very lucky with injuries over the course of my running history until the last couple of years I've experienced some ITB issues, so I've built some strength work into my training plan, 2 times 20-minute gym routines and 2 times yoga classes each week. Please help. What things could I be looking at to get me out of this funk? Kind regard, Faith.
Wow. I think there's a number of things in there to begin with. First of all, the big work week won't have helped. The travel, a little bit of jet lag, not enough sleep, as she says, and hard amount of work and stresses. And it's basically kind of the amount of stresses in, isn't it? Versus what you've got left to put out in the race. So perhaps I'm guessing that's why she felt pretty consistent in the race, but just couldn't up it the amount that you would want to do ideally in a race. So first off, I wouldn't panic. I would think that's a big factor in that. I am also going to throw in there that it might be the start of perimenopause symptoms starting to come in, which are extremely frustrating in terms of the fact that there's no prediction to it. And you can't say that's why. It just does throw up symptoms like this where you just don't feel yourself and you feel like you're working at the same levels, heart rates are the same levels and things like that, effort levels the same, but the outcome just feels that much harder. So I think the first thing is not to panic about that, to pay full attention to sleep and good nutrition, balanced nutrition, and recovering really well, and rely on the fact that your endurance, while there might be the downsides of getting older, there are upsides as well, and your endurance does get stronger. Your mental fortitude will continue to get stronger. So I wouldn't panic for Nagoya. As she said, Faith, you're putting in the training and you're putting in the work, and that marathon has still gone in at that marathon effort that felt very similar to last year. So I would just try and make sure that leading into Nagoya, your sleep is really on point as much as it can be.
Yeah, you've nailed the answer, but in terms of the only thing I would add is there was a rule that my coach would say to me is that if you don't feel great from the start, there's generally something amiss. If you don't start to feel great halfway or 3/4 of the way through, then it might be more of a training or a fitness or something possibly a bit more sinister. So feeling not great from the start tends to be explainable. It just may not be obvious in front of you, and it can easily be explained through like everything Paula has said. You've had a tough week, maybe you haven't drunk enough, and again, age is not something excuse. It's certainly when I felt I just had less room for error when I got older. That's all it was. It wasn't I couldn't do stuff. It's just there were days when I hit my 40s when I just didn't have it in me, and it was just because I'd had 1 or 2 bad nights sleep or hadn't drunk enough fluids. It was, and addressing that just made a complete difference to the next time I got out the door. So I would certainly not panic. I would certainly everything Paula said, and I would definitely see the fact you didn't feel great from the start as a positive to the going forward to how you can address that.
Yeah, and gold star for keeping on pushing through that and not panicking when it doesn't feel good from the start, because it's a long way to run a half marathon when it doesn't feel good at the start. So well done,
quick.
Faith.
She's quick as well. Those times are fast. You're dealing with good numbers, which also makes it. You're very acutely aware of slightly being off. Your body will, it won't be forgiving just for a little bit when you're trying to run that quick. So yeah, well done.
Brilliant. Right, moving on. This one comes in from Glenn. Hi, Paula and Thommo. I hope this message finds you well. First off, I want to say thank you for your informative, interesting and useful podcast. It's been a great source of inspiration. Keep up the work. Thank you. I am thrilled to share that after many years of trying, I finally secured a charity place in this year's London Marathon, running for Sense. I couldn't be happier to support such a worthy cause. I recently celebrated my 53rd birthday, and this will be my first marathon, an ambition I've held for years. I'm incredibly excited about being there, hopefully, on Sunday, April the 26th. Unfortunately, I had a setback last September when I injured my right foot. I stumbled into a small ditch at a play park with my 8-year-old son, rolling over my ankle. I thought I was fine, but weeks later the pain in my foot intensified. After several physio sessions and by sticking to my regular exercises, I was pain-free by Christmas. I began the TCS 16-week beginner's training plan a week early and have been following it closely. The plan has felt a bit easy for me. I've carefully added a few extra bits without overdoing it. On Saturday, January the 24th, I ran 8 miles at a steady 9:50 to 10-minute mile pace, feeling great and with no issues, and felt I could have run more at that pace for sure. However, I noticed my heart rate was quite high, around 161 beats per minute. My research suggests I'm running too fast without building the right aerobic fitness. The advice I've found recommends slowing down on easy runs to build from there, but the slow pace feels painfully sluggish. And even though my heart rate stays where it needs to be, the slow pace doesn't feel right, and I find them difficult to run at that slow pace. While I haven't run consistently for a few years, I've completed many 10Ks and half marathons in my early to mid-40s, with my quickest time being 1 hour and 40. I was also an avid boot camper for several years. I've always had a passion for running, having been a sprint and cross-country champion in school, no less, but that was a long time ago. I want to be sensible and train hard, aiming to cross the finish line with a medal to be proud of. While I'm not pressurising myself to finish in a specific time, even though everyone is obsessed with asking what time you're aiming for, I know that feeling, I do want to challenge myself. I'm in good health, eat well, and consider myself fit. I'm recovering well after each run and being consistent. So something inside me says, probably foolishly, that I could push myself more than the beginner's plan suggests. However, my heart rate is telling me otherwise. Should I keep running slow on easy days, build the base, monitor my heart rate constantly, and wait for it to adapt? Or should I be less fixated on my heart rate and challenge myself a bit more each week, making the easy runs a bit quicker? Your advice would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. Cheers, Glenn, the 50-something marathon virgin from Essex. Well, first off, I'm going to throw that question at you, Tom, but I am going to add the rider. He hasn't put what his normal heart rate is.
I was literally exactly going to say that, because I think there's the only bit of information that'd be good to know is what his norm is, because
if he's trying to just read off a plan which goes on average heart rates, Glenn could find that he has one that's, I mean, for me, my easy runs would definitely be in the 160s.
Mine too. Well, 150s high
Yeah.
anyway. But then, and again, a max heart rate is it? I mean,
it's very individual.
It is. I won't. There was a very good. I won't say who its name because I don't have permission to say who it was. But an elite athlete who was an Olympic athlete, very good male. His max heart rate was 150.
Yeah.
And that obviously it didn't matter because he performed as well as he
Well,
did.
if it's the same one I'm thinking of, his resting heart rate was 29.
Quite possibly, we must be thinking of the same person. But which again would put you in hospital because it's dropping below. The number of time athletes go to a hospital and they have heart rates done and they go, we need to double check this, and then it's okay. I'm an athlete. I do this regularly. I'm sure a lot of people can identify as being.
I've had it coming round from surgery when all the machines start beeping and people start running in, and you're like, no, it's okay, it's normal.
See, we laugh now, but it's like for other people. But so that's where again, I think it's a tricky one in that, and I think I'll answer it is there's a balance here between using technology and heart rate and going off feel, and I think the answer, I always go back to this, and my wife hates me when I say it. The answer usually lies in the middle, and I think the best way I feel I can advise you here is to say that yes, heart rate is useful at times, but leave a little room for being a bit experimental and going off feel and being a bit more kind of, I'm going to push things a little bit, but use the heart rate to check in. And I think that the answer somewhere is in the middle, because clearly by following the heart rate, there's a part of you that's a little bit frustrated around, could I do more? And I think you need to explore that just to give yourself that marathon entrepreneurship feel, or whatever, however better way to describe it, because that's what this is. This is an exciting journey for you to use for what you want to use it for. But the heart rate is a good tool just to keep an eye that you're not going too far with it. So don't let it control you, but use it as a tool to make certain you stay within the correct boundaries. And that's where I would sort of find the middle ground with that. What would you say?
Totally. I mean, he talks about the fact that he did that 8 miles steady run. I would argue that's an easy pace. I'm not sure how long ago his fastest time of the half was, 1 hour 40, but I would say that pace looks comfortably steady enough for that run, and that he could just keep it going at that pace and not worry too much. He mentions that he feels good, feels smooth with that. I really would kind of stick to that, and as you're saying, go much more on how you feel. Perhaps in one of your quicker runs, I don't know if you're jumping into another 10K or a park run or something, might be worth sticking the heart rate monitor on just to see what your max is, to help be able to gauge that a little bit, taking that morning pulse as well. The biggest sign of going too fast on your runs is not recovering the next morning. So the fact that your morning pulse or your pulse rate overnight is not dropping as much as it normally does, that's the first indicator, rather than within the run when everything else, as you said, the metrics are feeling good. I would concentrate on running more to feel with that. And good luck. Congratulations on picking back up the marathons. And yeah, give us a wave as you come past us on the Mall. The next one comes in from Archie. Hi, Paula and Chris. Love the show, and it's brilliant following you week by week as I train for London 2026. I know you've covered this topic, but I would be interested in your thoughts on my experiences in my most recent marathons. I'm a marathon veteran in more ways than one, 65 years old, and completed 20 marathons, PB 3 hours 25 from 2019. I've always been conscious of hydration and using gels, and have broadly felt I've been able to get it right until my last 3 marathons. Zagreb in 2023, Bucharest 2024, and Lisbon in 2025. Wow, great tourism. After the first of these, I was badly sick, whilst after the other 2, I felt pretty unwell and nauseous again, only able to contemplate drinking tea and not up for having anything to eat for about 12 hours. Oh gosh. I'm just wondering how I've managed to start getting this so badly wrong. I recognise that these 3 marathons are in warmer conditions to what we're used to in the UK, and this could clearly be a factor. But I had previously completed marathons in temperatures of 20 degrees C plus without this sort of extreme reaction. Do you need to review hydration and fueling strategies as you get older? E.g., should you be taking on more or less fuel and fluid? Are there types of gels or electrolytes that are more suited to older runners? Any suggestions would be most welcome. Thanks, from Archie in Edinburgh. Right, Thommo. I mean, I think Archie does allude to one of the points. Dehydration can cause that stomach issues. Running hard can be as well, running closer to your max. I'd be interested to know if the gels have changed going into those, or if they're the same ones as before, because if it's the same as before, it's unlikely to be that. If you have switched to a new one, it might be that. If you've added in caffeine, could that be a factor?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one, because again, his PB of 3 hours 25 is impressive. I mean, he's 65, so he was 58, 9 when he did that. And that's really fast. So he's obviously a well conditioned, fast athlete here. I think the only thing, and I've had some reactions to because like gels you can overdo it. I think in terms of especially especially around the temperature of the fluid in the gel and the volume. And if it's hot, if you take a very concentrated gel and not like a kind of like almost like a reduced concentration type of gel, it can play a bit of havoc because it is quite intense on the stomach. So I'm kind of wondering if it's, because again, I don't like to use the words, he's managed it in extreme conditions before, but that doesn't necessarily mean that repeating is not going to cause potentially another a reaction. It's like it doesn't take much for you to just almost be one gel too much. You get what I mean? There's a fine line, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, I'm trying to think of the only other thing I would say is, are you drinking the tap water when you're traveling to
Yes,
these
it's true.
races?
Yes.
Because that could be an impact. And also, when you're traveling abroad, it's a lot harder to stick to your normal pre-race breakfasts, pre-race meals the night before. So it may be that the diet generally leading into it has changed slightly, which might mean that your system isn't fully on top of itself, if you like, going into the start of the marathon. Could also be a bit of a factor. I'd be interested to know, had all of those 20 marathons been travelling around, or is it only those last three that have been travelling? Because then it might be that factoring into it. Definitely look into the tap water and what drinks have been provided, what water has been provided on the course, because it may be that your system is just not quite used to that. Is it happening in training? And yeah, I think, but if those gels, the make and the type of them have changed going into, then I would argue go back to what you were doing before.
The subtle differences in sugars in terms of gels, even though they're looking for the same bang for the buck, do have a very different impact on someone's system. And like I say, temperature, that when you're running it in hotter temperatures, there is a component around a challenge around those gels needing to be probably a little bit less so intense, because you need the hydration to come with it.
Yeah,
And so I would look at that, because he's saying that one of the key things he's saying is that they were oh, you've moved it, but the 20
sorry.
20 plus degrees. And I think that,
Yeah.
certainly in Tokyo, that was one of the mistakes I made, and a lot of other athletes were using the lesser concentration because of the heat.
Yeah.
So I think there's something in that, maybe.
But good luck, Archie, and let us know what happens in the next one, and maybe some info on some of those to see if we can point out what is the problem. Right, Kevin, Tomo.
Hi, Paul and Thommo. Love the podcast and I've been listening since you started. Quick question, any help appreciated. I'm a newbie running relatively, 3 years ago or so now. 62 years old and ran 2 Manchester marathons slowly but happy to finish. My third will be in Manchester again in April. Amazingly managed to bag myself a spot for Chicago in October too. Oh, great. I've never done that. So enjoy that. Should I follow
That's a
my
good one.
Manchester plan for April again, then take a couple of weeks break and start a plan again for Chicago? Or consolidate Manchester Fitness, tick over until October? Help, really not sure what the best idea. Thanks again, love the show, Kevin Barber.
Well, that's a great question. First of all, congratulations on getting that spot in Chicago. I mean, I would focus on the plan into Manchester. Take some time off to recover. Take a couple of weeks plan break is a good plan. Even stretch it out to 3 or so if you need to. And then remember that when you're starting that training build for Chicago, you're kind of starting from a higher point than you have been into the Manchester one. So you can probably reduce slightly the duration of it. Would you say, Tom? I'd say if you've done a 16-week build into Manchester, you could get away with a 12-week build into Chicago once you've taken the time to recover. Really make sure that you do take that time to recover. I think course-wise, I mean, Manchester's not that hilly, is it? Chicago's a nice course. The thing you need to be prepared for, I guess, as you do in Manchester as well, is it can be extremes of temperature, perhaps slightly more. I mean, Chicago's had very cold days and very warm days. And when the kind of weather system comes in off the lake, it can change very, very quickly, whereas there's a bit more warning into Manchester. So I would make sure that you're prepared for both scenarios, and referring quickly back to the last email, that you kind of monitor your gels, fueling, hydration accordingly to what that changes to. Manchester is a lot more predictable weather-wise. It was hot last year though. Then Chicago can be very changeable. Should we say it that way? But very best of luck, Kevin, and let us know how you get on in both, please.
Yeah, good luck. And the only thing I would add is, like, just that last bit was, definitely I would look at a shorter block than you
Yeah.
did before Manchester to concur with you. But yeah, absolutely good luck. Hope it goes well. And it's Chicago's on my bucket list. I will get
There
there.
you go.
I will get there.
We'll get you there, don't worry. We'll get you there for the pod. We'll have you running in a Paula's Run Club t-shirt. And that is all we've got time for, apart from teasing Thommo a bit more in this week's episode. Thank you very much for listening. Please don't forget you can send in any questions to Paula's Run Club at momentumbroadcast.co.uk or on socials at Paula's Run Club, or to that WhatsApp number +44 7564 747 914. This has been a Momentum Broadcast production. Don't forget, main pod drops on a Monday and this always on a Thursday. Thank you for listening, and bye.
See you soon, guys.